Nigel Farage spent the best part of 25 years trying to get into the House of Commons. 7 attempts, 7 defeats, even one of them by a dolphin. The man who wanted to reshape British politics couldn't find a constituency to back him. Then, in July 2024, Clacton finally sent him to Westminster. He has since voted in roughly 1 in 3 divisions. That figure, which is 33.5%, comes from his own public record. While the average MP turns up for somewhere between 60 and 70% of votes, the man who built his entire career on the premise that Parliament had been betrayed by people who didn't take it seriously is attending roughly half that rate. And last week he went on to GB News to explain himself. And what he gave us wasn't really an explanation, it was something way more revealing.
The last time you were in Parliament, you walked out. You haven't been since then. You're the MP for Clacton, but you weren't here for votes this week on the Veterans Bill. You care about veterans, you really do. You weren't there for the vote on the privileges motion, which was going to hold the government to account over Morgan McSweeney.
And what difference would I have made?
Well, you mean you'd have reduced the majority of the government.
I want to get rid of Starmer. Okay?
Yeah.
I want Starmer gone. Once a 3-line whip was imposed, I knew he'd win the vote.
Yep.
So do you know what I was doing? I campaigned in 5 towns yesterday. 5 towns. Walked through the high streets, met huge numbers of people, met the local media, engaged with people, had debate, including in Labour-held constituencies. Do you know how we get rid of Starmer? Reform, crush Starmer in the traditional Labour heartlands next Thursday. I think I served a lot more purpose yesterday not being in Parliament than being there, which is sad to say.
Yeah.
But that's where we are.
25 years of trying to get in, and now he's there. His answer for skipping votes is, well, what could have changed? The week this interview was recorded, he missed the Veterans Bill. He cares about veterans, says so constantly, has made it a central part of his public identity for years. The vote was there, and yet he wasn't. He was walking the high streets of 5 towns instead, which is something he could have done on any other day of the week that didn't have a vote scheduled. But here's where the interview gets interesting, because Farage didn't just defend his absence, he actually proposed solutions.
PMQs should be 2 times a week, not 1.
Tuesday, Thursday, like in the old days.
Absolutely. Give more backbenchers, more representatives of constituents a chance to stand up and speak about a local concern.
But it was a quarter of an hour each time last time, wasn't it? Not half an hour.
But it was shorter and sharper. Now what we get are 6 questions from the Leader of the Opposition.
All at once.
2 from some bloke called Davy. And before you know it, 2/3 of it's gone.
So that's one of your reforms if you become Prime Minister, twice a week?
Give backbenchers a little bit more ability
to
stand up and ask.
And you'll do that if you win power?
Absolutely. And that would mean that the local MP will get a chance to raise local issues of national significance. And right now it's not happening.
No.
PMQs twice a week, more speaking times for backbenchers, more opportunities for local MPs to raise constituency issues in the chamber. The man attending 1/3 of the available votes is drawing up a blueprint for more engaged Parliament. The reforms he wants would create more opportunities to do the job he isn't doing. And I'm sorry, but even when he is there, he still doesn't talk about his constituency.
Now is the time to declare the situation in the English Channel as a national security emergency. Quite why the previous government sought to enter 11 rounds of negotiation off the back of it is beyond me. But it's even more extraordinary for a government that is full to the rafters of human rights lawyers. Yesterday was a triumph. I also applaud him making such positive words about President Trump and our relationship with America, even if nobody behind him agrees.
His argument, and he makes it directly, is that Parliament has been devalued. Starmer reads from scripts, PMQs is prepared theatre, and the chamber has been hollowed out.
It's all pre-prepared. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's why I walked out last time I was there. It's literally a waste of time.
Some of that is fair. PMQs is largely theatre, but that's what it's for. These, are legitimate criticisms made by people across the political spectrum. But the institution is imperfect, has never been a convincing reason for the people inside it to stop doing their actual jobs. Farage won Clacton with 46% of the vote. The people who put him there did so expecting to be represented. When a vote on veterans come up, they might reasonably expect their MP, the one who talks about veterans more than almost anyone in British politics, to be in the building. Now, the attendance record is one thing. What happened on BBC Radio 4 this week is another.
Is your current policy on the two-child benefit cap? Because, again, there have been changes, haven't there, and discussions behind the scenes. So tell us what it is.
Yeah, I made a mistake on this. I tried to do something pro-family.
The policy in question was a proposal to give tax credits to working families with more than 2 children. He believed in it, or so he says, and he got pushback from the press, from the public opinion, and from within his own party, and so he dropped it. That's not unusual in politics. What unusual is what he said next.
That's obviously impossible in modern Britain. You know, what I said was I would like British working families where both people are in full-time work to get some tax credits if they had more kids. And, you know, for my sins, I was accused of being a welfarist. So I've had to admit defeat.
Well, who defeated you?
Just everybody, public opinion, even the tone of your question today. So occasionally in life...
No, just on that, you were defeated within your party, were you, by Robert Jenner, your economics spokesman?
I was defeated by mass opinion of press of everybody else.
Do you accept that you were wrong then?
No, I was right, but sadly, nuance doesn't work. Being clever doesn't work. And actually, at the moment, being pro-family is a very difficult position.
Well, why don't you just stick to your guns? I don't understand that. You are a powerful person. You are a very powerful person within your party.
I have dozens.
Why have you not stuck to your guns if you feel so strongly about it?
I have dozens of political battles to fight. And if you do something that just is not understood because you've tried to be too cute about it, sometimes better to drop it and move on. Hey, there's much else to talk about. There's rising crime. There's the situation with the borders. There's the hundreds of small businesses I've met in the last couple of weeks who feel overly punished by government. There are lots and lots of battles to fight.
Right, well,
and
we'll mention a couple of those in a second, but just on the two-child benefit cap, then that discussion is over. You are going to stick to it.
That's right. Nuance just doesn't work. The leader of a party whose entire pitch is plain speaking, say what you mean politics, just explained that he abandoned a policy he believed in because it was too complicated to communicate. He couldn't get the argument across, and so he just gave up. The phrase, being clever doesn't work, came from a man presenting himself as the antidote to political class that hides behind complexity and spin. Here's why that matters beyond the obvious irony. In February, the Commons voted on the universal credit and the removal of the 2-child limit. Working families. Exactly the territory Farage had staked a position on, he didn't vote. So it pretty much goes like this. He had a policy designed to help working families with more children. He dropped it because the argument got difficult. And when the vote came up that affected directly those working families with more than 2 children, he wasn't there for that either. So if you're new to this channel and you want to catch what's coming, the Parliamentary Standards Commission is still investigating the $5 million donation from crypto billionaire that Farage didn't declare. And we'll cover those findings when they land. So subscribing means you won't miss it. There's one more thing that happened this week. Nigel Farage was booked to appear on Laura Kuenssberg's Sunday programme, confirmed from last week. His team told the BBC he'd be there. 5 days before a set of local elections where Reform was standing thousands of candidates and asking millions of people to trust them with councils across the country. And he changed his mind.
On Thursday, millions of us have the chance to tell politicians what we think at the ballot box. Elections that could decide the Prime Minister's fate. But it's 2026, so there are so many parties after your vote. 6 of them are here today. Not, however, Nigel Farage, who, as we told you last week, was fixed to be here. His team told us he'd changed his mind.
6 party leaders in the studio. The one who didn't show up leads the party that wants to run the country. He'll do GB News, he won't do the BBC. He'll walk 5 high streets in a day when there's a vote in the Commons, and he'll campaign for the movement while the constituency waits. There's a pattern here, and it's in plain sight for months. Nigel Farage turns up when it's comfortable and finds reasons to be elsewhere when it isn't. Farage's defence of his attendance across multiple interviews is consistent. His vote rarely changes anything. The government has a large majority. He is more useful out in the country, building the movement and talking to people. There's a version of the argument that could work for a political official or a campaign organiser. But Farage isn't either of those things. He's the MP for Clacton. The role comes with a specific responsibilities that doesn't dissolve because the government is difficult to beat. He spent 25 years trying to earn a seat at that table, and now he's got one, and now he's choosing not to sit at it. And somewhere in his constituency in Essex, there's a veteran who might reasonably wonder whether his MP decided to vote.